Okay, so we'll do, I always do like a little setup before I start a session. It just reminds us to stand up nice and tall before we do anything. So if you stand with your feet together, I know you can't see mine at the moment, but you don't need to. Once we do this little bit, you don't need to see anything. We're going to fan the heels out and then the toes. So you're standing with the feet about hip width apart. So your feet and your knees now are hip width apart, okay? That's how we want to stand. And then I want you to feel like you're being lengthened up through your spine, and imagine you've got a little thread coming out the top of your head and it's pulling you up to the ceiling. So you're standing up even taller. Okay, so we want to stand up as tall as we can to start with. And we're going to try and maintain that as we do a little bit of a warm up now. Okay, so we'll start by warming up the shoulders. So let's just shrug the shoulders up to the ears and then slowly press them away. So we'll do it again. We'll shrug the shoulders up to the ears and then slowly press them away. And again, we shrug them up to the ears and press them away. Wonderful. Let's do a couple more. So we want this to be nice and steady, nice and controlled. Wonderful. We'll press the shoulders down and we'll keep them down this time. Now, take one hand and pop it on your shoulder. Now, we're going to draw a big circle with the elbow. Okay, so we're not going to force the arm around. So I just want you to work in your own range of movement. Okay, so if you can't make a very big circle, then that's fine. Okay, and then we'll change direction and we'll go the other way. So this is a nice little exercise just to start warming up the shoulders for what's to come. Okay, so we can do that on the other side, can't we? So let's switch. And we'll draw a nice big circle with the other arm. That's it. Again, going nice and steady. And don't forget, you still want to be standing up nice and tall. We'll change direction again. Okay, and then we'll relax that arm down. Now, let's do big arm circles this time. So we're going to swing one arm up to the ceiling, circle it behind us and back down to the floor. Then we'll send the other arm up and over the top, all the way behind us and bring it back down to the floor. And then we'll switch again. Okay, so again, not forcing the movements, just making the circles as big as we can. Okay, let's just do one more on each arm. Wonderful. Relax the arms down. Just give those shoulders a little roll around. Okay, let's just focus a little bit on head and neck, okay, for a second. So we're just going to mobilize the neck a little bit. So what I want you to do is I want you to turn your head to the left, turn it round as far as it will go, and then bring it back to center, and then turn your head to the right. And send it round as far as it will go. And then we'll do it again. So we'll send it round to the left, and then back to center, and then round the other way. And we'll just do a couple more. So again, we're not forcing it. We're just working nice and steady. And then we'll bring it back to center. Now from here, let's just drop the chin to the chest. So nod the chin down, okay, just let that, sort of let your head relax as you nod that chin down, okay, so you get a nice stretch down the back of the neck now, and then we'll look back up in front. I think we'll do that one again actually, feels quite nice this one. If you've got any tightness in the back of the neck, it's a really nice stretch. We'll just relax that head down, and then we'll bring it back up. Now this time, can you send your left ear to your left shoulder? So you're just going to tip your head over to the side and just relax it as it goes. And just see how far it will go. But watch the opposite shoulder. Make sure that shoulder doesn't come up. You've got to keep that shoulder down. Okay, so if you relax your head to the side, you get a really nice stretch down the side of the neck. Okay, and then we'll pick it back up, and then we'll do the same on the other side. Okay, so we relax the head over to the side, keeping this opposite shoulder down. Feel that nice stretch. And then we'll pick that head back up again. Let's just turn the head again, round to the left, and then back around to the right. Okay, we'll come back to center. Now this time, I want you to take your hands. We're going to interlock the fingers if you can, and get the hands behind the head. If you can't interlock the fingers, then that's okay. As long as the hands are behind your head, okay, then that's where we want them. Okay. So I've got my elbows out, nice and wide, out to the side. So what I want you to do now is I just want you to very gently push your head into your hands. So it's almost like you're pressing your head backwards into your hands, resisting with your hands, very gently, not too much. We'll just hold it for a few seconds, and then I just want you to release. So stop pressing the head into the hands. That's it, and then we'll do it again. So we're going to press the head into the hands again. Just a little press. That's it, and then we'll release. And then we'll do it again, one more time. Press the head into the hands, nice and gently. And then we'll release. Wonderful. We'll lower the arms down. And then we're going to nod the chin to the chest again. So we'll just nod the chin down. We'll just let the head relax again. Okay, and feel that nice stretch down the back of the neck again. And then let's look up. So we tilted the head as well from side to side, didn't we? So let's do that one again. But this time, we're going to use our hand. So we're going to send left ear to left shoulder. We'll just let that head fall over. And then you're going to take your hands and you're just going to just rest it on your head there, just very lightly, just enough so you feel a little increase in that stretch down the side of the neck. If you press too much, you will overstretch those neck muscles and they're only really sore in the neck. Okay, so we want to be careful we don't do that. Just very gently, just to increase the stretch ever so slightly. Now don't move your head. Just release your hand, put your hand on the other side of your head, and then push your head back to upright. Okay, and we'll do that on the other side. So we tip the head the other way. Okay, nice and relaxed. So you take your hands and very gently just rest it on your head there. Again, just so you can feel a little bit more of a stretch. Remember, it needs to be nice and gentle. Okay, we're going to leave the head where it is. You're going to move your hand, put it to the other side of your head, and then push your head all the way back up. Wonderful. Are we open so far? Is that yes? Yes. Yeah, fantastic. Wonderful. I didn't quite hear you then. Wonderful. Okay then. Right. Let's open out the chest then this time, shall we? So we'll bring the arms into this position. Okay, so you've got your elbows tucked in at the waist, shoulders are down, nice and relaxed. Okay, so all we're going to do, keeping the elbows tucked in at the waist, we're going to send the hands out to the side. And then we'll move them back to center. And then we'll do it again. So we're going to send the hands round to the side. And then back to center. And again, so nice and steady. But what we could do this time is as you send those hands out, you can feel like you're giving your shoulder blades a little squeeze together. So give them a little squeeze and then release. And then we'll do it again. So we'll send the hands away, give the shoulder blades a little squeeze and release. Wonderful. Now let's keep the hands out this time. Okay. We're going to lift the elbows up. You're going to bring the hands into a point above your head, like you're putting the roof on your house. Now I've got my elbows nice and wide out to the side. That's where we want them. And then from here, we're going to float the arms out to the side and all the way down to the floor again. And then we'll bring our arms back into our starting position. Then we do it again. So we send the hands away. We lift the elbows. We put the roof on the house. Elbows nice and wide. And then we float the arms all the way back down again. And then we bring the arms back up into our starting position again. Let's do it again. So we send the hands away. We bring the hands up, putting the roof on the house. Elbows are still wide. and then we float the arms all the way back down. Wonderful. Let's do it one more time. Start in the same place, send the hands away, put the roof on, and then float the arms all the way back down. Wonderful. Okay then. Hands on the hips then this time, okay? So we're going to do hula hoop hips. So on this one, you've got to imagine you've got a hula hoop, okay? You're going to swing it around your hips. Now, I'm bending my knees slightly, okay? And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can keep the upper part of my body nice and still. So sort of from waist up, it's got to stay nice and still. And then I'm going to get my imaginary hula hoop, and I'm going to swing it around my hips, okay? So on this one, we're trying to mobilize the lower part of the spine a little bit, okay? So in order for us to do that, we've got to have some stillness in the body somewhere. So that comes from the waist up. We want to try and keep the upper body as still as we can. So all the movement is happening from the waist down. So we'll go around the other way, okay? So if I stand to the side, okay, you can see I'm just trying to circle the hips around, and I'm trying to keep the upper body as still as I can. Okay, it's really easy on this one to think that you've got that movement when actually what you're actually doing is this. Okay, and still some movement coming through the hips, but because I haven't kept the upper part of the body still, then I haven't got that nice mobility movement going on sort of in the lower back now. Okay, so it's important to keep the upper body nice and still as you circle those hips around. Okay, shall we bring ourselves back to center? Okay, so the hips are finished central and we're standing up nice and tall again. So we'll have the arms down by the side this time. Still got my knees a little soft. So this time we're going to slide the left hand down the left leg. So we're going to do a little tip to the side and we're going to slide that hand down. Now we don't want to go too far. When you start to feel any pulling down the side of the body here, then that's far enough. And then you come all the way back up again. And then we go the other way. We tip over to the side. So when you feel that stretch in the waist, stop, don't go any further. And then come all the way back up. So again, nice gentle movements, working nice and steady. We want to avoid any overstretching. Okay, so that's why I say when you start to feel that stretch, that's the point that is far enough for you at the moment. Stop there and don't push it too much further, because if you do, it can make the muscles quite sore. If we overstretch them, you'll feel it the next day. Usually it feels quite sore. Okay, I think we'll do one more each side. It feels quite nice, this one. We'll come back up to standing. We'll do one more over to the other side. And then we'll come back to center. Okay, let's bring the arms up in front. Okay, we're going to do thumbs up. Okay, so I've got my hands just roughly at shoulder height. Now, this one again, it's one where we need to keep the pelvis nice and still. So the hip bones at the front, they've got to keep pointing forwards on this one, so don't let them move, okay? We've got the arms out, we're doing thumbs up, okay? I want you to look at your left thumb, and I want you to send that hand round to the side as far as it will go. And when you can't go any further, just bring that hand all the way back around again. And then we'll do it again on the other arm. So keep looking at the thumb, send the hand around as far as it will go, and then we'll bring it all the way back to center. Okay, so the hip bones have got to keep pointing forwards on this one. So on this one, we've got to keep everything nice and still from the waist down. So you can imagine that you're standing in a block of concrete up to your waist on this one. So you've got no movement from the waist down at all. That's it. We go around to the side. And we come back. We'll just do one more on the other side, shall we? Arm goes around to the side. And then we come back. Wonderful. We're going to send. Actually, we'll hold on to the hands first. Hold on to the hands and then send the arms up to the ceiling. So reach up nice and high. We're going to flex to the side again. a little stretch over to the side until you feel that bit of pulling down the side of the body, and then don't take it any further. Come all the way back up. Then we go the other way. We flex over to the side, and then we come all the way back up. Let's do a couple more. So we flex over to the side, and we come back up. Here's the last one. That's it. And we come all the way back up. Wonderful. Let's lower the arms. Let's give the shoulders a little roll around. Wonderful. Okay, now, still okay? Yes. Wonderful. We're going to change position now. We're going to come down onto the mat. Now, what you will need, I think it was yesterday, we did a bit of side lying in the workshop. We use support under the head. So we will need something again today. So I've got my yoga blocks, but you don't need anything like this. If you've got a cushion handy, okay, or some extra towels, anything like that, just fold it up so that when you're lying on your side, you can rest your head on. That's all what it's for, okay? Right, so side lying then. So you've got your support, whatever it is, okay, one end of your mat. Okay, so we're going to lie on our side, and we're going to see if we can lie right on the side of the shoulder. Okay, and we're going to lie with the arms out in front. Okay, now I've got my legs bent, the knees are bent, and just so we know roughly where to put the legs, because sometimes we could have them all the way up here. We don't want them here. Okay, just have a little glance to see where your feet are. You want your feet roughly in line with your spine. Okay, and then that should put your knees pretty much in the right position. Okay, so I think the first thing we'll do is, I'm just going to shuffle forward because I'm quite close to the wall here. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is one, to open out the chest and work this shoulder again. Okay, now it's another one where you're going to try and keep the pelvis still. So I want you to imagine that you've got a heavy weight sitting on your top hip here, okay, and that weight is going to keep the pelvis nice and still for you, okay. We're going to float that top arm up, and then what we're going to do is we're going to send the arm up and overhead, and I want you to turn your head as you make a big circle with that hand down, okay. So we're going to circle the arm all the way around, and then you're going to bring the arms back together, and then we're going to go back in the opposite direction. Okay, so we'll swing it down first, and then we'll bring it up and over, and then we'll bring the arms back together. Okay, so we've got to try and keep the pelvis nice and still. Remember, heavy weight is keeping that pelvis nice and still. Turn the head, so we're opening out the chest. Okay, getting a little stretch there. And again, it's another one of those exercises where you don't want to force the movement. Okay, so if you can't make the circle too big, that's okay. Just work within your own range of movements. Let's rest those arms together. Okay, let's do a couple. Do a couple for the legs this time. Okay, so this time we're going to do the lift and lower. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to float that top leg up and straighten it out. Okay, now before we do anything, I just want you to glance down, and I want you to make sure now that you've got your ankle, knee, hip and shoulder all in a nice straight line. So in other words, just make sure you don't have that leg forward. Okay, we need to be in a nice straight line, and you're going to keep it in that straight line now as we do this exercise. The leg starts at hip height, and then we're just going to float it up just a little bit more, not too high, and then bring it back down to hip height. And then we do it again. So we float the leg up. So you can see I'm only taking it up a little, not too high. What I really want you to think about on this one is the length through the leg. So I want you to really straighten out that leg. Get it as straight as you can. Make sure we haven't got a bend at the knee. Okay? So we float the leg up. Nice and slowly, not too high. Let's just do one more. Here we go. We'll float the leg up and back down. And then we'll bring the legs back together. Okay? Now this time for our next one, this is an exercise where the hips like to roll quite easily. It's quite easy for them to move. So I want you to get your top hand and I want you to put it on your top hip there, okay? And keep it there, a little pressure down to keep that pelvis fixed. Now this exercise is called the clam. And it's really a strengthening exercise for the hips, but it's really beneficial because when we are thinking about flexibility, if we've lost our strength on one side of the body, then the opposite side of the body becomes less flexible. So if we can balance our strength, it will help our flexibility as well. It will help to balance the body. So we've got the hand on the top hip, bit of pressure down. You're going to keep the feet together, and then this time we're going to open out the knee. So you can see I'm just opening out the knee, and then I'm going to bring the knees back together. So we'll do it again. We're going to open out the knee, and then we're going to bring them back together. So it's important that you don't force the movements again, okay? Because on this one, what things are going to happen is if you force the knee open, you'll either roll backwards, which doesn't give us any benefit to the exercise at all, or you'll open out so much and keep the pelvis still, you'll start cramping in the hip there, okay? So it's got to be within your own range. We don't want to force the movements, okay? Should we just do 2 more? Nice and controlled. Here's the last one. Okay, wonderful. Let's switch over because we need to do the other side, don't we? So we're going to push ourselves up. You're going to take your supports and you're going to put them the other end of your mats. Okay. And then we're going to do the same setup again. Okay, so we're lying on the side of the shoulder. We've got the arms out in front. We're going to check our leg position by just making sure that the feet are roughly in line with the spine. Okay. And then the first one we're going to do is that arm circling again. Okay, so we've got to keep the pelvis nice and still. Okay, so we'll float the arm up and then off we go again. So we're going to circle the arm up and over the top. We're going to circle it around. Nice big circle. And then we're going to bring the arms back together. And then we'll go back the other way. So you're going to look at your hand again as you circle it around. So as you turn your head, the shoulders will turn, just opening out the chest a little bit. Okay, but again, we want to make sure that the pelvis stays nice and still. Okay, bring the arms back together and we'll just go back round the other way. One more time. And then we'll bring those arms back together. Okay, so let's move on to the legs again. Okay, so we're going to float the top leg up. We're going to straighten it out. Okay, so we don't want it any higher. We don't want the foot any higher than hip height. Okay, have a glance down again. Make sure you've got ankle, knee, hip and shoulder all in a nice straight line again. You haven't got that leg forwards. Here we go with our lift and lower. So we're going to float the leg up just a little bit and then bring it back down to hip height. Here we go again. We float the leg up and bring it down to hip height. So remember, on this one, it's all about getting that length through the leg. Okay, so we don't want to do this with a bent knee. We've got to get the leg as straight as we can. And if you've got that leg nicely lined up, all in a nice straight line, like we checked at the beginning, it makes sure that we keep the front of the hip nice and open as well. Okay, here we go, a couple more. So we'll float and lower, and again, float and lower. Wonderful. We'll bring the legs back together. Okay, the clam. So this is our last one in this position. This is where we open out the knee. So we're going to get the hand again. We're going to apply a little bit of pressure down into the pelvis there. We're going to keep the feet together, and then we're going to open out the knee. And then bring the knees back together. And again, we open out the knee and bring them back together. So again, don't force the movements. Just work within that range. So it doesn't matter if the knee won't open too far. That's okay. A little bit is fine. What we really want to focus on this one is keeping the pelvis nice and still. That's it. Should we do 2 more? We'll open and close. Last one, let's open and close. Fabulous. Okay, I'm going to push myself back up. Okay, I'm going to come back up to sitting. We've finished with our supports now, so we can move those to one side, but you will need a towel now. Okay, we're going to lie on our back for this last little bit. So if we've got a towel, it just makes it a bit comfier to lie down. Okay, so last little bit then now, lying on our back. Okay. Um, So when we're in this position, we don't want the legs together. We want the feet and the knees about hip width apart, like we did at the beginning when we were standing. Okay, so we want the feet and the knees about hip width apart. Now, in the workshop, I did a little exercise called Malteser Rolling, okay, and that was just to mobilize the lower back. So we're going to do that again now, because if we do that, not only do we free the back up a little bit more, it puts us in a nice position to do our other exercises. So I want you to make a diamond shape with your hands, and then I want you to put your hands on your tummy. Okay, and then you've got to imagine that you've got a Malteser sitting right in the center of your diamond. And what we're going to do is we're going to roll the Malteser backwards and forwards. We're going to roll it to the thumbs and then roll it to the fingers. So if we roll it, the Malteser to the thumbs first, we're going to roll it towards the thumbs. And what should happen is that you should feel your lower back starting to flatten a little bit more into the mat. Okay, and then we're going to roll the Malteser the other way. So we're going to roll it towards the fingers. Okay, and as it rolls that way, we should feel like we're lifting the waist out of the mat, feeling like we've got a bit more of an arch under the lower back there. Again, don't force it, just move a little bit. So we'll do it again. So we're going to roll the Malteser back towards the thumbs, and then we'll roll it towards the fingers again. And then we'll just do a couple more times. So we'll roll the Malteser to the thumbs and then to the fingers. And then this time, let's see if we can finish with the Malteser right in the center of our diamond, okay? And this time we want to finish with just a slight curve in the lower back. So I want you to get your hand, and then without moving, I want you to slide your hand under your waist. Ideally, it should just be tops of the fingers that should go under, okay? If the whole hand goes through, then you're probably a little too arched. You just need to flatten the lower back just a little bit more. So when you found that position is called our neutral position. And it puts the body in a really nice position, ready to do our exercises with. And we get a lot more support if we stay in that position. So whatever we do now, we're going to stay in that nice neutral position. Okay. Now, the first thing I think we'll do is we'll send the arms out to the side, just out of the way a little bit. We're going to keep the feet and knees slightly apart. And then all I want you to do is to send both knees over to the left. So we're just going to let the knees slowly and controlled fall out to the side, and just let them go down as far as they want to go. When they won't go any further, we're going to bring them straight back up, back to our starting position, and then we're going to send them over to the other side. Okay, so we send them over again. We just let them relax out there as far as they will go. We're not going to hold it out there. We're going to bring the knees all the way back up. So as we go down, this is a nice one for the lower back, this one, but also the side of the body. It just opens everything out down the side of the body. So if you've got any tightness down the side into the waist, it's a really nice one for that one. And then we'll go the other way. Nice and slow, nice and controlled, all of these movements are. Okay, I think we'll just do one more each way. So we send the legs over, relax them down, and then we'll bring them back up. And then we'll just do it one more time, over to the other side. And then we'll come all the way back up to center. Okay, and then hopefully we've still finished with the feet and the knees hip width apart. Okay. A little stretch. So we're going to hug the knees into the chest, okay? So when you hug the knees in, you can hug them in one at a time. You can either have your hand on the top of your knee or underneath, wherever you find is the easiest to hold on to. And then we're going to hug both knees into the chest, Okay, so we get a nice stretch through the hips into the lower back. Okay, and then you can hug them in as tight as you want to. Okay, we'll just hold that just for a few seconds. And then we're going to bring those feet back down onto the mat, checking that we've got feet and knees about hip width apart again. Okay, and then let's just make sure that we're back in our neutral position. So you want that little curve again in the lower back if you can find it. Okay, you can always check with your hand again. Okay. So let's do something with the legs. So we're going to just mobilize the hips a little bit, and we're going to lengthen out the legs again in a second. So we're just going to work on the one leg to start with. We're going to float the knee up, and we're going to hold the leg there. We're going to bring it to this position. Actually, let's just do that to start with, shall we? Let's float the leg back down. Let's do that on the other side. So we'll float the other leg up, back up into that same position. And then we'll lower the leg back down again, okay? So while you're moving the legs, keep that stillness through the center of the body. We don't want any movement there, okay? Now, next time, we'll float the leg up and we'll hold it there, okay? Now, from here, we're going to straighten out this leg. We're going to finish with the knees roughly side by side. You're going to get that leg out straight as you can. You're going to bend the knee, bring it back towards the chest again, and then you're going to lower the foot back down to the floor. Then we'll do it on the other side. So we float the knee up first. We're going to straighten out the leg so the knees finish side by side. We're going to fold the knee in towards the chest again, and then lower the foot back down. Then we do it again. So we float the knee up. We're going to straighten out the leg, knees roughly side by side again. We'll fold the knee in and we'll lower back down. Let's just do it one more time on the other side. Float the knee up. Straighten out the leg. Fold the knee in and then lower it back down. Wonderful. Okay, so just check your feet and knees are about hip width apart again. Okay, make sure you're in that nice neutral position again. Okay, so we haven't done anything with the arms in this position yet, so we'll do that first, I think. So from here, I think we'll do scissor arms. Okay, so we're going to send the arms up to the ceiling. Okay. My hands are pretty much sitting directly over the shoulders, okay? We're going to scissor the arms apart. So what we're going to do is we're going to send one arm overhead and the other arm is going to come down onto the mat. And then we're going to send both arms back up to the ceiling again. And then we're going to switch arms. So the other one goes overhead this time and the other one comes down onto the mat. And then we bring the arms back up again. Okay, we don't want to force the movement again. So if you find that you can't send the arm all the way back to the floor, then that's okay. So again, just work within your own range of movement. We don't want to force any of these movements. Let's do a couple more. Send the arm over the top. And return. Here's the last one. And then we'll bring the arms back up to center. Let's lower them down for a second. Okay. Now we're going to finish off with a little bit of breathing, a little bit of a breathing exercise. But I think we'll do our first one with a bit of movement because I always find that helps. Okay, it feels quite nice to breathe and move, especially if we're doing the arms. So we're going to start with the arms on the mat. Now, when we breathe in Pilates, we always breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth. So that's what we're going to do here. So we're going to send the arms up and overhead. So the first thing we'll do is we'll take a nice deep breath in through the nose and we're going to send the arms up and overhead. We're going to send them back as far as they will go. And then as you breathe out, we're going to bring the arms all the way back down onto the mat. And then we're going to do it again. So we're going to take a nice deep breath in through the nose and send the arms back as far as you can without forcing them back down onto the floor. And then as you breathe out, we'll bring the arms all the way back down again. Let's do it again one more time. Breathing in. Arms go up and over. And then breathing out, they come all the way back down. I will rest the arms there. So let's finish off with a little breathing exercise. So we're breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. But in Pilates, when we breathe, we want to breathe more, well, all into the ribs rather than down into the stomach, okay? So when we breathe, we want to we're filling up the lungs with as much air as possible, and we can sort of feel the rib cage expanding. We don't want to breathe into the stomach, okay? So let's have a little go at that. We've got the arms down by the side. We're going to take a nice deep breath in again, and we're going to imagine that we're just taking in so much air that the rib cage is expanding. And then when you breathe out through the mouth, I want you to blow all of that air out so that you feel the rib cage closing back down again. And then we do it again. So we're going to take a nice deep breath in through the nose, filling up the lungs, feeling the rib cage expanding. And then breathing out, you feel the rib cage closing back down. Now, let's count as we breathe. So this time, when you take that breath in, I want you to count up to 7. Keep breathing in as you reach number 7. And then when you're ready to breathe out, start blowing out all the air, but count up to 11. So I want you to blow out for longer. So we want to make sure that we blow every last little bit of air out of the lungs. And then we do it again. So we breathe in through the nose, counting up to 7. And then we breathe out through the mouth, counting up to 11. And we'll do it one more time. Breathing in through the nose, counting up to 7. And then breathing out through the mouth, counting up to 11. We're going to finish with a little stretch. So we're going to straighten out both legs. We're going to send the arms overhead, and we're going to have a nice big stretch through the whole of the body. We'll hold it there for a few seconds, and then we'll bring the arms back down, and then we'll bend the knees, bring the feet back in. Wonderful. We're going to come back to sitting. So let's roll onto our side and push ourselves back up. There we go. All down.